cases that the last one will go into effect in August that we're aware of. We don't know how much. Can you
Okay.
wait till then?
Let's visit about that, because I might have you just give one with a little bit higher, so when we
Okay.
set the preliminary.
Excuse me. Welcome to the Todd County Board of Commissioners regular board meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 15th. The time is 9 a.m. All commissioners are present along with the auditor, treasurer, and coordinator. We will now stand for the pledge. I will pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to add emergency management to the agenda and ask the county board to petition the governor to declare the county a disaster area due to the drought.
And where would that be added to? Denise or Chris?
It can be 8. We'll just put it 8. We'll
Just put 8?
Yep.
So it'll be 8,
No,
point-
8.1.
8.1. Okay. Are there any other amendments to the agenda?
I have none.
Okay, if not, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Or motion by Newman, second Kircher. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed and carries. We'll go into the consent items.
Consent items today are meeting minute approval for June 1st, 2021. Hire full-time road deputy Kyle Drum. Hire full-time deputy Tyle Winkles. Hire investigator Joshua Winter. Appoint social worker Kelsey Fina. Resignation of registered nurse Kristen Hayes. Resignation social worker Cassandra Snyder. Hire office assistant Jessica Barroso. Gambling permit for Big Lake Sportsman's Club and gambling permit for Ivy's Legacy Foundation. Gambling permit Little Birch Lake Improvement Association and one-day temporary on-sale liquor license for Ivy Legacy Foundation.
Okay, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Erickson, is there a second?
Second for discussion.
Second by Kircher.
Number 4.4, Madam Chair, I believe should be a promotion, not a hire. I believe he is promoted to investigator. He's current.
Okay. That's correct, Steve?
Correct, yes, at the moment, yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and carries. Denise?
First item I have then is oh no, I gotta go higher, sorry. Commissioner warrants. Background is sent for your review. Recommendation to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $85,252.60.
Okay, is there a motion for approval of the commissioner warrants?
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second Newman. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll do roll call.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
The next item I have then is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and regular manual payments totaling in the amount of $148,828.85.
Okay, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Kircher, is there a second?
Second.
Second Erickson. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll do roll call.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
The last item I have today is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background was sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $61,409.88.
Is there a motion for the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants?
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Kircher. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll do roll call.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Adam.
Okay, my first item this morning is David Yoder's request for a conditional use permit. A request for a conditional use permit to build hunting shacks and cabins on parcel 0900012201 in Germania Township was received on April 9th, is reviewed by the Planning Commission during the June 3rd meeting. The final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant this conditional use with the following conditions. The business owner must dispose of all hazardous materials in a manner that meets all county and state requirements and shall not create a pollution hazard. No parking will be allowed within the road right-of-way. No loading or unloading of material shall take place within the road right-of-way. Business signage must meet all the requirements of the Todd County Planning and Zoning Ordinance. And 5, all products for retail sales must not be placed within the road right-of-way. The option would be a motion to grant the CUP with these proposed conditions, deny the CUP, or remand this back to the Planning Commission for further consideration and request a 60-day extension. The recommendation at this time would be a motion to grant the conditional use with the proposed conditions.
Okay. Is there a motion for approval for the conditional use permit for David Yoder?
I'll make a motion for number 1.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
All right, my next item is the Tillman Infrastructure request for CUP. A request for conditional use to build a 325-foot communication tower on parcel 1700276600 Little Sauk Township was received on May 10th. It is reviewed by the Planning Commission during the June 3rd meeting. And the final recommendation from the Planning Commission is to grant the conditional use with the following condition: that the applicant must abide by all applicable federal, state, and local standards. The option would be a motion to grant the CUP with the proposed conditions, a motion to deny the CUP, or remand back to the Planning Commission for further consideration. The recommendation at this time would be to grant the conditional use with the proposed condition.
Okay, is there a motion for the communication tower? P.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is a 325-foot tower.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's not a standalone, is it a cable?
Yep, guide wire.
Will the cable wires be fenced in at the post area?
Yes, that's part of our requirements, and they have the full design of all the fencing and everything submitted to us.
Okay,
For
well, it's not in the requirements, so is it
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's part of our ordinance that all things attached to the ground be fenced off.
okay.
And Madam Chair, the only other question I had was location of the airport within this
Yep.
tower.
Yeah, they're, I don't know, is it a couple miles away maybe? I don't remember exactly. They did, with their application, they are required to submit FFA approval, and they submitted that there is no, well, the letter says that there's no objections from the FFA, so they had that approval with their application submitted.
Okay.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? And carried.
Okay. The Tim and Karen Melby request for a conditional use. A request for a conditional use permit to establish the Foresight Campground as a residential PUD on parcel 0600023702, Burnhamville Township, was received on May 3rd. It was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the June 3rd meeting. The final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the CUP with the following conditions. The applicant must abide by all applicable federal, state, and local standards. The site is restricted to 4 campsites. Additional campsites will require the review of the planning commission. Installation of septic system size to handle all 4 campsites plus additional structures on site. Maintain vegetated screening on all sides adjacent to public roads. And the site is the 5th one, the site is located in an agriculture area, and consequently there will be from time to time noise, sounds, and smells associated with the operations of farming. No property owner shall bring action of law against a farming operation because of such farming activities, as long as such farming activities comply with state, federal, EPA, and Todd County ordinance. Since that June 3rd meeting, June 3rd Planning Commission meeting, additional information has come forward for this request should be identified as a commercial PUD, not residential. So with that, the options be to grant the CUP with the proposed conditions, deny the CUP, or remand back to the Planning Commission for further considerations, and to add a 60-day extension to the application period. The recommendation at this time is to remand this back to the Planning Commission for reconsideration and add a 60-day extension to the application deadline for review. I've had conversations with Jason Kabushek about this one, and we've determined I had this on the wrong path in the residential PUD. The intention of the landowner is to retain this under single ownership, so it'd have to be a commercial. Therefore, in the future, if they were to ever sell it, someone could actually operate this as a commercial 4-site campground, but their intention is just for family usage. But this is the avenue to help them get to where they wanted to be. So that's where the recommendation to send this back to the Planning Commission comes from. I've had conversations with the landowners already, and they're totally on board and understanding, and this was already on the agenda for July 1st if you guys would send it back to the Planning Commission.
Okay.
Madam Chair, could I ask
Yes.
a question? Where is this located in Burnhamville?
Right to the west of Long Lake, kind of north of the Hub Supper Club on the curve.
Right in your backyard.
They actually have a little bit of lake property on the other side of the county highway there, but most of the land is on the other side of the county highway, which is where this is proposed to be.
Farm buildings there now?
No, I think this is all vacant except for one small structure on the lakeside that they have.
North or south of the hub?
North. If you go from the hub, I don't know what county highway that is, but then it curves and goes west.
13.
Yeah, where it curves and goes west, their property is on the inside part of that curve.
In that little section of woods there?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's 10 acres they have there.
Yeah, okay. Oh.
Okay. So the request is to send this back to the planning and zoning?
Yep, and add a 60-day extension to our decision deadline so we don't run into any issues with the 60-day rule.
Okay, and add 60 days. Is there a motion?
So to
Mo-
move it back to the
to
planning
move it.
commission.
Okay, motion by Kircher. Is there a second? Second by Kanizel. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and carries.
Okay, the Lakeside Acres preliminary plat. A subdivision request to establish a 3-lot preliminary plat on parcel 1500400000 in Leslie Township was approved by the Planning Commission on June 3rd. The final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to approve the preliminary plat with the following conditions. Complete approval of a wetland delineation prior to final platting. 2, access to lot 1 shall only be connected with Fern Drive. And 3, the applicant must obtain appropriate permitting when necessary from other governmental agencies, including but not limited to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and the Sauk River Watershed District. The options would be to move to approve the establishment of Lakeside Acres preliminary plat with the proposed conditions, move to deny the establishment of Lakeside Acres addition preliminary plat, or remand it back to the Planning Commission. The recommendation would be a motion to approval of the Lakeside Acres preliminary plat with the proposed conditions.
Okay, is there a motion for the Lakeside Acres preliminary plat?
So move.
For approval, Randy?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Newman for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and carries.
Okay. The Jason Bergman rezoning request. A request to rezone the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter, section 18 in Little Sauk Township from AF1 to Shoreland RD was received on May 13th. The request was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the June 3rd meeting, and the final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the rezone with no conditions. The action would be to approve the rezone as presented, deny the rezone, or remand it back to the Planning Commission. And the recommendation would be approval of rezoning the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter in section 18 Little Sauk Township from AF1 to Shoreline RD with no conditions.
Okay, is there a motion for the rezoning request for Jason Bergman, is it?
So moved.
Motion by Erickson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And carries.
Okay, the Pam and Corey Lamb request for conditional use. A request for a conditional use permit to expand an existing feedlot from 77.4 animal units to 108.4 animal units on parcel 2800-15200 in Wycombe Township was received on May 13th. It was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the June 3rd meeting. The recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the CUP with the following conditions. 1, feedlot operator must arrange for legal disposal of dead animal carcasses. 2, upon completion of the interim permit, feedlot operator must reseed all open lots to grass. Open lots shall only be used for pasturing animals. 3, no on-site stacking of manure except in the designated stacking slab area. 4, feedlot site shall be restricted to 108.4 animal units. Additional expansion shall require the review of the Planning Commission. 5, submit plans for review and approval for parlor wash containment no later than December 1, 2021, not to be installed until approval has been granted by the feedlot program and county review. 6, feedlot operator must abide by all other applicable federal, state, and local standards. The option would be a motion to grant the CUP with these proposed conditions, deny the CUP, or remand it back to the Planning Commission. And the recommendation at this time would be a motion to grant the conditional use with the proposed conditions.
Okay, is there a motion for approval for the feedlot increase for Pam and Corey Lamb?
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, why did they go .4? Was these goats or what?
I don't actually, I'd have to look at their application to the feedlot program to know where that .4 comes in. I'm guessing it has more to do with young stock on a dairy farm. Because,
I don't know, why
A
don't
calf
you just
might
go
be
up to a
0.2.
109 or something?
yeah.
On 10 or something.
I don't know the answer to that. I think just being specific with what they're planning to have on site, and that's the number I came to.
That's no point there, huh?
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? And carries.
Okay, my last item is the final plat for Coolman Oaks. A subdivision request to establish a preliminary plat on parcel 0300133300 Birchdale Township was approved on February 16th, 2021 with one condition. The condition being removal of the wood framing of the abandoned trailer home prior to final platting. Planning and zoning has completed a review of this plat and determined it is ready for final platting. So the option would be moved to approve the establishment of Coolman Oaks final plat or move to deny the establishment. That's a typo. It should say Coolman Oaks final plat. So the recommendation at this time would be a motion to approve the request for final plat named Coolman Oaks.
Is there a motion for the final plat of Coolman Oaks?
So moved, Madam Chair, but I got the second, this number 2, move and deny it, the Seibel subdivision. That shouldn't have been on.
That should say Coolman Oaks, not Seibels.
Okay,
So we can correct that, but I'll move it.
okay, motion Newman, is there a second? Second Erickson, discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Thank you. Should I send Jolene an updated version of that? You got it.
Please, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Solid waste then, we have Jeremy here, and you said Chris is joining us?
Morning, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning, Chris.
Morning, thanks for your time. We have for you is just partly a progress update and a request for your decision on the film plastic program. As you may recall, Todd County recently agreed to partner with Ottertail County in a new film plastic collection program for egg wrap and boat wrap. Ottertail County has purchased a truck and hired a driver. They can begin collecting in Todd County in July and desire to send out notifications to existing and prospective participants in Todd County. The Todd County Solid Waste Committee and Ottertail Film Plastic Program Manager Zach Fiesta recommended the first approximate year of service be performed without a collection fee and with clear messaging that once the program is up and running, actual costs will be utilized to establish a shared cost plan whereby participants will be charged for participation. What we'd like from you is an authorization to perform those services without charge for that first time period up to 1 year.
Okay. Discussion beforehand, any questions?
Madam Chair, I'm gonna abstain from voting because I might be using this
Okay.
for, so.
Any questions or concerns?
I'll move that we
Discussion.
move forward. Madam Chair, this is something we've been probably waiting to get and participate in, if not do it ourselves. So I think this is a good partnership and that we move forward with it because it takes care of some waste out there that's kind of undetermined what we do with it. So it's,
No. Motion by Kircher, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Newman, any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you. And then we'll go to 8.1.
yes, Madam Chair, I ask that the county board petition the governor to declare the county a disaster. I have Mike Wizanowski here as our emergency management director. I think you're all aware of, as you drive throughout the county, you're seeing nothing but brown. This morning as I drove in, I thought I saw a bean field where I don't see any beans coming up at all. Some of the corn is dying, at least a majority of it. And even if it's under irrigation, it's having a difficult time, I think, growing. So I'm going to ask that we petition the governor to declare our county a disaster due to the drought.
And is that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
So a motion by Kircher, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Newman, further discussion? I think we,
Maybe we should
Have to
ask
agree.
Mike if we're following the right routine here.
Actually, if we're dealing with farmers, and I just got done with the FSA office, and it looks like we're going to be expediting a emergency declaration through the FSA office. However, talking with Jay, it turns out that we need a 30% loss in crops, and right now, because we're already had our first cutting of hay, the hay hasn't really done anything. Corn is still not gotten. If you look at some of those fields, they kind of, some of them look, certain areas look really good and some aren't, so it's hard to get that 30%. However, the grains are going to have an issue, and that's where we're looking at right now is doing that declaration for the grains, because the grains are not going to head out, is from what I'm being told. The other item that we are looking at is there is, through the FSA office, a program for livestock and dealing with emergency situations with livestock, which we haven't, they've said they have not received any reports of livestock deaths due to the extreme heat or shortage of feed, but stay tuned. I think it's going to probably coming as we're going to have a feed issue. But at this point, what we could do, and just coming back, Steve got me the numbers here. Just this year, we've had over 34 grass fires. We've had 2 DNR's calls to come on those grass fires, so you know that they've gotten big enough that the DNR has come into. Our fire departments are constantly running to it. Yesterday was just a horrible day for fires, and with the wind and the dry conditions, we really haven't, we've been able to use our own resources to keep this up. But at a point, there's going to be a point where our resources are going to be pretty much used up, and that's where we go to the governor to request a disaster declaration. I can look into putting in a emergency declaration to open up any more avenues, but right now our resources, the state resources, are currently still available to us, the DNR, with their forestry fire rigs and everything else. So until we really need those resources, I don't foresee us needing to do a disaster declaration other than the emergency board for the FSA. Sounds like we're going to probably be meeting shortly and possibly doing a declaration for grain. And then slowly and constantly we're monitoring what's going on with the farmers, because, I mean, you look at the hay, I don't even know if they're going to get a second or third cutting out of it if we continue at this point.
Not unless it's underwater, and that still isn't very short.
No.
The other thing is, though, what I'm concerned about, Madam Chair, if I may, is the drainage of the aquifers. There's a lot of irrigation going on within the county, and I'm sure other counties. I'm sure the DNR is monitoring that, but the drainage on the aquifers could cause a lot of, well, sand points to go dry, shallow wells to go dry. So I am concerned about that, but I still think we should go on record petitioning the governor to declare us a disaster, because if you drive around, it doesn't, excuse me, take a rocket scientist to look at these crops and where they're at. You know, whether they'll mature to even make corn is if right now, because and also, Mike, I need to add, we had some late frost where the farmers, some of them had to even replant, if they even replanted. So, you know, there's two issues facing us, well, three: fire, frost, and drought. So I asked the board that we move forward in petitioning the governor, so.
Okay, further discussion?
I think too, and I was gonna look to Gary a little bit, but I've talked with people too, even on their first cuttings of hay, that thought they were well below half of what they would normally get.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a 30% line, even though they took it, it wasn't nearly what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, and the FSA actually marks that on a year.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part is it doesn't come back, and Gary, you could probably attest to this, is they find out what it is for the total for the year of lost crops, and that's where the percentage comes in. So that's the difficult number to work with. But with the grains, you know, they just didn't get.
Some of them are just burning up.
The other thing, Mike, is I've noticed small grasshoppers already, and you usually don't see them until later in the summer. So I'm just worried about it, them coming, and the aphids. I don't know, Gary, what the aphids are doing right now, so.
Well, there's them worms, they're talking about them worms.
Yeah, I was just up in Grand Rapids, and the trees are stripped up there from the tent worms. So, and I'm sure they're cycling through again.
Madam Chair, I agree with Commissioner Kircher. I mean, you drive around and you look at the corn, and the corn's really struggling. You look at the hills, and whether it's bean or corn, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And then the same way with the alfalfa. You get on some of the higher hills on the alfalfa, and it was very, very little. So everything out there is struggling right now. So.
Any further discussion? Otherwise, we do have a motion and a second to move forward with this. I will call for all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, and it carried. We will go ahead
Thank you.
and draft one.
And Madam Chair, if I
Thank
may, I would like you to take this to the FSA too, the petition that we're gonna do, so they see it from us. So.
Yep, I mentioned it to Jay
Jay.
that we would be
All right.
doing that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move into standing reports. Auditor Treasurer,
I have nothing to report.
okay. Commissioner reports? Anyone?
I think we're back to face-to-face meetings finally. Tonight I have a library meeting and I'm face-to-face, so it's kind of nice to be back seeing our colleagues and other people, so.
Yes?
News media's here, so it's kind of nice to.
Yeah. We were actually here, right?
I want to ask Chris about the legislator passed a bill or something about meetings, you know, where they couldn't do Zoom meetings anymore or something. I don't know. You don't know what that is?
That might be in reference to, sorry about that, Madam Chair. I think that might be in
Yeah.
reference to one of the topics brought up at a corrections meeting, that if you are going to have those Zoom meetings, there are certain criteria that you have to meet now with those.
Yeah.
And I think that goes into effect July 1st.
July 1st, okay.
One of the criterias, I know that we looked at it or whatever there the day, was that if you have a quorum, the Zoom meeting is not allowed.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you already have a quorum at the meeting, then you're not Zooming.
Well, the other thing I'm aware of is if you have a Zoom and an in-face, the Zoom people have to declare where they're located at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
location.
And is that open to the public then? Like, say I'm from my house,
Yep.
then the public can come to my house? Is that correct?
I think the purpose of it is just to identify that it's you and where you're located. I don't think they
I was
could.
under the impression that the public could attend wherever you were, so
Oh, okay.
maybe I'm wrong, but
I can get clarification on, I haven't heard that, but
Yeah, maybe you should and send it out, because I know at the correction meeting, it was first that we had heard of it. Any other commissioner reports? If not, Chris, coordinator report?
just a reminder that this Friday, we do have the AMC District 4 meeting that will be taking place up in Fergus Falls. And that
Okay.
has been posted.
If there's no other to come in front of the board, we will adjourn, ask for a motion for adjournment. Our next meeting will be July 6th. I
So
can just
moved.
do- Motion by Kenizel, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Newman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and carried, and we are adjourned. to the Todd County Board of Commissioners work session. Today is Tuesday, June 15th. The time is 9:36, and we will start with the Minnesota Council on Aging annual report. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Lori Vrolson with the Central Minnesota Council on Aging, and I believe you should have some information in your packet. So the Council on Aging is designated as the area agency on aging, servicing the 14 counties in the central part of the state, and we receive federal Older Americans Act funding that we work through our board and advisory on a process of allocating out to the local level, and those funds are really designed to help older adults and support family caregivers keeping their loved ones in their own homes. So the intent is to provide them with the basic supports, whether it's transportation, grocery shopping, meals, caregiver supports, those types of services. And with the Older Americans Act dollars, none of the programs are means tested, so there's no financial or income or asset eligibility. Individuals have to be 60 plus, and then services are provided on a donation basis, but nobody's denied service based on their ability or inability to contribute to the program. So out in Todd County, last year in 2019, we awarded about $122,000 for services in Todd County. In 2020, it was about $171,000 that went for services specifically out here in Todd. And I don't have the 2021 projections. The other numbers were actuals, but the projections yet, primarily because we know that it will be greater than the 170,000. We're still have not received the Consolidated Appropriations Act funding that was passed in December, nor the American Rescue Recovery Act dollars. And when that funding comes through, we'll be able to do additional awards for services that will go throughout our region, which will include services here in Todd County. We also are expecting dollars from CDC for the vaccine outreach, and they're telling us we should receive those in September. So at some point, we'll probably be targeting those funds to really look at boosters and other types of vaccine outreach, and we'll work in partnership with the local county public healths on that. But in 2020, the numbers that you have up there are actual level of service provided in Todd County in 2020. Some of the services with COVID really had dramatic changes, and so the Homemaker was actually, we provided a new grant to Lutheran Social Services to recruit some volunteers to provide grocery shopping in the 5-county area out here in the north. There was 3 individuals that throughout 2020 were served with grocery shopping assistance, 82 hours. The biggest service and their biggest pot of funding is for meals. The congregate number is pretty low there, 174 individuals with 1,200 meals. That's because when COVID hit, all the congregate sites closed, and they're starting to reopen. In Todd County here, we have 4 congregate sites, and then home delivered meals, and you can see there was 206 individuals that were served with over 20,000 home delivered meals last year. We have seen quite a bit of increase in meals in Todd County. That it's when we looked at our region overall, Todd County was one of the counties that was being underserved with meals comparatively. We've seen a very drastic increase in the need for meal service. And so in addition to Lutheran Social Services that we've had a long-term contract with, we added an additional contract that's with Catholic Charities, and they started doing pop-up frozen meal sites, which includes now in January, they started in Long Prairie in partnership with the Food Shelf, and then at Lakewood in partnership with the NAPS site. NAPS is the Nutrition Assistance Program for Seniors. It's a food commodities program. And so we are really trying to target lower income seniors with meals. And so right now, they're averaging about 130 older adults that Catholic Charities is serving between those two sites a month, and about 2,400 meals are going out through those two sites. And what happens is that individuals, older adults over age 60, come to those, for example, they'll come to the Food Shelf, and they can take up to 30 frozen meals for the month home with them. And so those sites are happening once per month. And so to some extent, it depends how much freezer space they have, but they're all meals that are made from scratch, and then they're frozen, and then the individuals are able, like I said, able to take them home, and those are on a donation basis. And so so that, the meals is really where we've been really trying to target how we can increase services, and that's been seen as a critical service, and each month the number of participants is increasing, and we'll continue likely to see that happening. I know Ruth at Catholic Charities is in conversations with a couple other food shelves out in this county as well, looking to see where there's opportunities. One of the areas, they have to have enough space to accommodate either the cars coming through or space in the food shelf itself to be able to handle the volume of individuals that are coming in during that time and accommodate the cooler space and everything. So there is some logistics that go along with it, but we're looking to expand, as I said, through additional food shelf locations and the NAP sites to really try to target the low-income seniors. Respite services, only 4 individuals were served last year with respite. That is a service at Ellis Lutheran Social Services. They have senior companions that they use, and typically this number looks substantially higher, but with COVID, most of the individuals providing the respite are seniors themselves, and so with COVID, they have not started to resume that service back in place yet, and are probably looking more into late fall before that will resume. So that service has been put on hold. Legal assistance, 31 individuals served with 156 hours of legal counsel. That's done through Mid-Min Senior Law Project, and Carla Kruger is the attorney that works with those cases. And then we did provide additional funding to Lutheran Social Services for telephone reassurance. They've last year worked with 73 individuals with 523 hours of telephone reassurance and friendly visiting. We also gave them additional dollars in 2021 here in March, and we asked them to work at making phone calls to all of their home delivered meal clients to see if they were able and interested to get the vaccine. If they were interested but haven't been able to make an appointment, they help them through the process of identifying the various locations in their communities. And then if there were individuals that were homebound, then they help make assistance arrangements for that too. But we actually didn't find very many of the home delivered meal clients that weren't able to make it out to a vaccine clinic, there were so many of them that were done through easy modes that even the home delivered meal clients were for the most part able to do that. Lutheran Social Services also worked and held a vaccine clinic at one of their congregate sites here in Todd County earlier in the year here. We are also working right now with Whitney Senior Center out of St. Cloud, and been working with Verna and coordinating with two of the senior centers out here in Gray Eagle and then in Long Prairie Senior Center, and they've been provided equipment, carts and video equipment, so that they can satellite in programming that's happening at Whitney Senior Center. And so that's just starting to get launched, but the hope is that they'll be able to tap into some of the more extensive educational programming and exercise classes and wellness programming that Whitney Senior Center has, and then bring that out to these satellite areas. We're also right now prepping already for fall. We've had many years now where we've been working with the College of St. Ben's with their nursing students and training them in the diabetes self-management program. And that's a year-long course really focused on people that are pre-diabetes and helping them with lifestyle changes and weight management. And the nursing students use it as part of their health coaching curriculum. And in partnership with CentraCare, we've been having the nursing students doing clinical rotations at the various CentraCare clinics. And with COVID, we've had to move that to virtual programming, and there's about 75 students. So there's 18 classes going on right now. In the fall, when the new set of nursing students gets trained, CentraCare will be bringing that also to the clinic here in Long Prairie. And so the nursing students will be working with the Wellness Center at Long Prairie to offer that course. And along with the Wellness Center will be offering other evidence-based courses, but that'll be one that will be done in partnership with St. Ben's. And then their population health manager, they're able to identify individuals from their EPIC system who are pre-diabetes and fit into the categories that they want, and able to do a direct mail as well as a MyChart invite to those individuals. With that, it's not only individuals that are 60 plus, they have individuals of all ages. They just have to be 18 years or older, but it's a very good program. It's been great partnership with the college to get those nursing students connected with older adults that are in a non-nursing home setting and really understand how to work with community well older adults. And so it's been a nice intergenerational programming aspect. So that's kind of a snapshot of the Title III services during this past year. One thing that we typically see for services in other counties that we don't have here in Todd County that typically are funding out are things such as assisted transportation, chore, homemaker. Those would be the three key services that we really have not been able to find a viable partner out in Todd County here to provide those services. In general, most of our Title III providers are using volunteers. However, we do have a number of them that have moved to using paid staff as well as volunteers to deliver the service. We've worked with Mahubi in the past, but they've had a lot of difficulty in recruiting volunteers. And so those contracts, while we've had them in the past, they haven't been fully utilized and implemented. And currently, in the last couple of years, we have not had providers. So that's something that we're always looking for. And So if you have ideas of potential providers that we could look at entertaining, we are currently in an open RFP, request for proposal time period right now, where we're soliciting and trying to recruit providers for services. We do have another provider that we're trying to entertain for doing some of the evidence-based health promotion classes out here in Todd County, but really the assisted transportation, chore and homemaker are two areas that Todd County right now is being underserved in from a Title III perspective, but I would venture to say that your county staff would likely concur that it is those are key gap areas in general, and so Title III would just be one venue of being able to financially fund services, but we do need providers.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
Well, I thank you for, Todd County has been very gracious in the past years of providing us the match that we need. We do need match in order to draw down the federal funds, and so that's done on a prorated basis based on number of seniors in the county. And so out of our 14 counties, it's just over $50,000 of match that we need, and the request to Todd County is for $2,534 based on that prorated basis. And then just continue to thank Commissioner Newman for his service on our board. He's been a very valuable leader to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Madam
Morning.
Chair and Commissioners. We have a couple board, work session agenda items to discuss, engage discussion on. First one being the child protection lead worker with Mike Steinbeiser and Lisa Grossinger. I will let you take it over from here.
All
Okay,
right.
Lisa.
Basically, we met with the Personnel Committee and had a good conversation with Commissioner Erickson and Commissioner Becker, and we wanted to bring it forward to a work session. We're interested in adding a child protection lead worker position to our staff. As you know, child protection is a high stress, high burnout area for staff. We think a lead worker position could really help us to add some extra level of support to the staff that we currently have in those positions. Have a leadership role in training new staff and new hires. The training process for child protection is long and arduous, and we're kind of continually in that process just by the nature of the work as well. And there's so many different aspects and work areas within child services and the child protection area as well. Even within case management, cases can go in so many different directions depending on the kind of case that it is, and if it's a CHIPS case involved with the courts, if there's ICWA involvement, if there's placements, the number of appointments and things that we're responsible to try to make sure that we get kids to, and corresponding court reports and SSIS documentation and state reports. And so we feel like having a child protection lead worker position would be very valuable for us in ensuring quality product and quality services to the constituents of Todd County. We think it would be helpful with our working relationship with the county attorney's office as well. If we are really ensuring that court reports have a high quality, and we appreciate the relationships that we do have right now with our county attorney's office and all of our law enforcement. So we want to make sure that we're putting them in a good position, and everything that we're getting to them is great. We currently have the staff that we do have. We're grateful for everybody that we do have, but we do have a lot of people that are have less tenure here at the county. I think we average about 24 months there currently. With our new person starting here soon, that will drop that average down a bit as well. And even within that 24-month average, we have several people that are working in maybe their second or third position within the unit since they've been here as well, just because of, you know, needing to cover other areas with licensing and permanency, and or maybe they move from case management to assessment. So we think it would be a valuable position for us. We do have the child protection grant from the state that would help cover the additional gap between the difference between a social work position and a lead worker position. We have currently 2 budgeted but unfilled social work positions within child protection. So really the difference would be in paying the salary gap between a social work position and the lead worker. We have submitted the job description in the PAQ to Baker Tilly. We don't have that back yet. We're anticipating that being a 1 grade difference. That's how it's generally been with other lead work positions. But we're hoping to have that back soon. So there wouldn't be any additional financial impact or cost to the county with this position.
Questions? I'm writing. Any questions?
I do, Madam
Commissioners?
Chair. The, how many do you currently have in child protection right now?
There would be, I believe, 10.
And would this be a promotional position where then you would add another worker? Or is it just to hire a lead worker?
We are hoping it'll be a promotion, depending on who would be interested in applying. But then there would be also a replacement of that person
Right.
if it was
That-
internal.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So what we would, with our 2 unfilled positions, we would basically convert one of them to a lead worker position.
And are we then requesting this in a new budget?
Yes.
Okay. With 10 in child protection, is 1 lead worker enough?
I would say at this time.
It's a start. You know,
Yep.
we've had those conversations, and I think we'd be grateful to have 1 to start with, and
Maybe the workers would too be grateful to have 1, right?
right.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, then Jackie, you'll be bringing this to a board meeting, or
Correct.
is that
We
the
plan-
next step?
If yes, that is the next step, and then we'll wait for that salary and grade recommendation to come back from the new, the new company of Springstead.
Will that be back before the next board meeting?
We're hopeful that it will be.
Madam Chair, I think we have a big enough gap between this meeting and the next meeting
Yeah.
that we'll be in.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, good, thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Jackie gets to stay.
Yeah. All right, next item for discussion, I have Jenna Peterson and Carrie Roaring here regarding probate.
Oh, paperwork.
Sorry, I did not get this ahead of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have one for?
Does she need this one back? Does she need this one back?
No, no, we're good.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so what you have is, first page of our handout is talking about our MA Estate Recovery Program. And we're gonna be doing a new type of collection called probate. So we're kind of excited to share that information with you, but I thought we would start by just what is the MA Estate Recovery Program, and
Can we back up? What were you currently doing?
we do not do probate currently. We do collections efforts in different ways. Mostly the families will take care of, probate would be our very last resort type of collections. So we do collections for the MA estate recovery. Carrie's actually been doing a wonderful job with that. And this would be one type of collections that we're not doing right now.
Okay, thank you.
So, the MA estate recovery program is actually required of Minnesota, through Medicaid. So, in Minnesota, the counties act as the collections agent for the state, and we get to keep approximately 25% of that money as an incentive for us to do the work. So, when we collect, extra money, then that's extra money to the county. So, collections workers do the work after the person would pass. That's when a claim would be generated, and then the work would begin to find out if there's any assets in that person's estate, and Carrie works on collecting that for us. Anything else?
I have a question, Madam Chair. On recovery, in the real estate world, if I own property, is there a time limit that I can will that property or put it in my children's estate before I receive medical assistance, or is that time period, or is there a window? Has that time period been done away with?
No, there is a window, that would be considered gifting or
Yep.
giving that to your family, your children. Is it 5 or 7 years?
Yeah, I don't work with eligibility, but there's a look-back period when,
They would consider that an improper transfer. So then let's just say 3 years ago you were to have done that and now you're applying for medical assistance. They
Yep.
would look back and they would find out how much, and they would come up with a number that you would not be eligible for that many months for medical assistance based on giving or gifting that.
I believe the look back is 5 years, and that's under Lisa Chapin's
I
unit.
think it's 5 years. Yeah.
Okay,
So this program kicks in after the recipient of medical assistance passes. So that,
right.
yes, yeah, so that's the difference between those.
Okay, so if you're on medical assistance and let's say I'm in a nursing home, that's when the property recovery window is, if it goes back, you'll take a window look back at 5 years.
Right.
And,
so with the state recovery, if your property is in a life estate or a joint tenancy prior to 8/1 of 2003, then it's not collectible. But if let's say property was deeded to someone after 8/1 of 2003, then it would be recoverable when someone passes away.
so 2003 is the
8/1
last,
of 2003 is the magic date.
really?
Yep.
Yeah, I missed it.
Well, if it's a joint tenancy or life estate prior to that, if you've owned your land.
But after that now, if I wanted to give my children my estate, then it's still recoverable from my children, from the property. Is that correct?
If it's not in a life estate. But I can't give any legal advice.
No, but it's,
But if
it's
it
good
were-
knowledge on my part
Yes,
that you
yes,
tell
it's
me that.
good to know.
So,
Yes,
okay.
yes. So let's say someone passes away today, if they have if they've been on medical assistance and they have a medical assistance claim, so not everything is recoverable, hospice isn't recoverable, for instance, the state determines what someone's eligibility, or what their claim is, what their medical assistance claim is. I'm not gonna pretend to know what that is. They provide us with a report.
Okay,
So when someone passes away, we receive a medical assistance claim saying this is how much the claim is, or they don't have any claim. Let's say they were just on it for a short period of time and they were strictly on hospice, there would be no medical assistance
Okay.
claim.
sorry, Jenna, I
Oh,
interrupted
that's
you,
okay,
but.
good question. I've got a few of my own.
Yeah. You keep me informed, okay? So-
But it's good to be informed, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So there are some exceptions to estate recovery, so that would be an instance where the person has passed away and we do not have a claim at that point in time. So, for example, if you have a spouse, so if you're married and one of you is on medical assistance and then your spouse passes, you would not have a claim on that property until after you yourself have passed. So that is delayed recovery, I think is what the state calls that. So during that time, people are able to sell their property. They have full control over that property, and a claim is not going to kick in, so to speak.
My question was, could the spouse repay that claim and clear it off?
No, that is not possible. You cannot,
No.
a medical assistance claim is not due and payable until the last spouse passes away.
And that is frustrating, because we have had people come in to try and
Yeah,
clear
they
that
want
up.
They want to pay it off because they don't want their
Well,
children to
it's
have
like
to.
a lien on your
And
property. you know,
we're not able to collect on that.
And the state's take on that, or I think it actually comes from the federal level, I don't even think it's at the state level, is that the surviving spouse can use those assets because it could become an eligibility issue for them if they pay that medical assistance claim ahead of time. So it's actually not due and payable until the last, till the surviving spouse passes away.
I know I had a neighbor that had that, his wife was Alzheimer's, she had Alzheimer's and so, and she passed, and he wanted to settle up, and they wouldn't let him do it, and he was all ticked off about it, you know.
Yeah, we've had a few come in and wanna, cause they don't want their children to have to
Right.
worry about it. But, yeah, if you contact the state, they're like, absolutely, you cannot collect on that. And then part of the reason is let's say that surviving spouse doesn't pass away for 20 years, what if the laws change between now and then? Then you could have collected in error, so that's part of it as well.
But they can get drug out quite a long ways when you're in those situations where there is a surviving spouse. So we do our best just to keep track, you know, and watch. If that spouse happens to pass, then we know that there would be an active claim that we could pursue. If you have a child under 21, I don't know too many people in that situation, but then we would not have an active claim. If you do have a child who's blind or permanently disabled, then we would also not have a claim against those assets.
Until that
Yes.
child passes.
Correct.
Then if there were any assets recoverable at that time, we could recover at that time after the blind or the permanently disabled child would pass. So it's just delayed.
And then the assets that we're talking about are not just real property, it's also bank accounts or vehicles, excess burial funds, and we do actually always check the Minnesota unclaimed property. That's a website you can go on for anyone who doesn't know, and look your name up and see if you have money out there. So we've actually found quite a few unclaimed funds that we've been able to claim in this program. So it's been a good way to do that. So then we get into what probate is. So that's what we're here to talk about. Probate is a legal process of settling a person's estate, and it's done under court supervision. Normally, the way it would work is after an asset holder dies, if the family is unable or unwilling to settle the estate, then you can initiate probate as an interested party. That would be the last resort for us, because that is something that is a much bigger process. It's much easier to have the family do that for you. You know, they will get the probate initiated and do that portion of it as part of it, but what we'll see is if their MA claim exceeds what the property is worth, the family says there's nothing in it for them. Those are the ones that maybe they walk away from the property, or it ends up in tax forfeit, some of these properties. So they just deteriorate. No one's taking care of them, no one's paying the taxes on them. So that's kind of the situation that you would be in under these circumstances. And so I just laid out what the general process would look like for everyone so that you could kind of see what we're planning to do. So basically, Todd County Health and Human Services, this is a accepted method by the Department of Human Services for counties to collect on the MA estates. And so what we would do is we would do the initiating of the probate. Carrie would be appointed as the personal representative for the estate. And so that would be on behalf of Todd County. And that would put us into a position where we can then get the property ready to go, put the property on the market, make sure that all of the debts of the estate are settled. There's a pecking order, the funeral expenses would be paid first, you know, so there's an order that everything has to be paid. And then our staff time for that and any like county attorney time for that or my time, we can count all of that time that we've worked on it. That money would come into the county to be kept, and then the remaining, whatever is left, would go to pay the MA estate claim. So then, on top of that, we would be able to keep 25% typically, depending on the program, within the county.
When a property would go into probate as such, is there a length of time, number of years it has to stay in probate? Or, you know, just like we have a sale of property for non-property taxes, is there a length of time?
Well, there's a 45-day period that you cannot apply to be an executor of the estate for the 45 days after death. So there is that wait time before anyone. And then there's a search done to see if there are any wills out there. Maybe someone has designated a representative for themselves, you know, so all of that work has to get done. But some of these probates, there's not a set time, but they could go on, and we would not want that. Our goal would be to get those onto the market, get them ready. We would hopefully be able to tap into some of the county resources as much as possible to get some of the work done if the property needed some things done to it. There would be times when we might need to hire people to come in and help with that, but not a set time limit.
Mm-hmm.
And we would want to wrap it up as quickly as possible.
Yes.
We wouldn't want it to be extended.
Do quite a few counties do the probate then?
Yeah, yes. In this area, I believe Douglas County is, Otter Tail County is. Most of the metro areas are probate counties, simply because they don't want the property sitting there, deteriorating, you know, being vandalized, going into tax forfeiture. So the majority of the metro counties are all probate counties.
And then you advertise it through a realtor, or how do you?
Correct,
Okay.
yes, we would definitely work with the area realtors, and I think we'll probably be just 2 realtors for sure. We would request quotes from for each time we're planning to do a probate. They are time consuming, so it's not like we're gonna do 15 probates in a year, you know, we'll start with 1, and 2 to 3 a year is probably pretty aggressive even.
And we hope that, you know, the hope is that the families will initiate probate, but the fact is if they don't, sometimes they just can't. The children or siblings are elderly themselves, and they don't have the ability or the desire to initiate probate. So we would always want the family to do that if possible.
And we do have people that bring us their keys and say, here you go, and we can't accept those, but there are people who just, they know and they're not able to do that themselves.
Yeah. Questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
If you do this, is there a set budget you have set aside? Because what if you get into a house that has asbestos or has major damages? You can't sell that way.
Yes, all of those expenses would be coming out of the settling of the estate. So yes, we will have funds set aside to cover those up front, and then once the sale goes through. So we really have to assess each one before we would do any sort of a probate action, because if we were in that situation, chances are we wouldn't want to probate it either. So I think each property is gonna be pretty unique and will require discussion with the assessors, the auditor's office, the county attorney. So it'll really take a lot of the combined efforts of all of our departments.
Moving forward, do you need any board action? No one,
We
you just go
don't.
ahead and, and put it into place on your own.
Which is why we wanted to bring it forth to the work session, to have some discussion around it, because it doesn't require a contractor approval per se to do so.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep, thank you, guys. That's the end of the